Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ, and I am joined by Mr. Will. And today we are talking about Venom, The Last Dance. And if you have not seen this yet, this is in theaters. It's heavy spoilers for it. Heavy spoilers. We're going to talk about all the details of this. I'm not going to lie. If you listen to me, you might not want to go see it. You listen to Will, you might want to go see it. I don't know. You're going to have to listen to find out. But I do know that if you don't want to be spoiled, you shouldn't be listening to this right now. More, you can definitely come back and listen to this later if you want to hear it then. But if not, I would say just go see the movie and then come back and listen, or listen to this now and make your decisions. But either way, keep listening. Just as a heads up, we are going to be posting this like as soon as we get done with the show. So just as a gift back to the people who have been supporting us, we actually have 2 videos coming out this week. So yesterday we actually posted the Killers game. So check that out. We had a really good conversation about how Mr. Will loves anything with word killing in the movie. And in this one, we're going to talk about a movie that's in theaters right now in the form of Venom, The Last Dance. Also, just as a quick heads up, we are going to be taking a couple weeks off to just kind of chill and figure out what our next couple movies are going to look like. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that at the end. But don't worry, there's more than enough content out there. We have 50 plus recordings on Apple and Spotify, 20 plus, or actually 30 plus videos on YouTube. So you will not miss us while we are gone. With that said, Mr. Will, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great, especially after our pre-production meeting. Oh man, CJ got me inspired, got the blood flowing, oxygen is permeating my entire body. I'm ready to get it, man. What's going on with you, fam?
Yo, let's get into this, man. Because I listen, Mr. Will talked me out of this one because this was about to be a 15-minute show, y'all. It's about to be 15 minutes, but Mr. Will brought his professionalism to it, and so it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be 17 minutes because of what he said. So, Mr. Will, jump into this
Woo,
summary so we can get into this, man.
woo. Yes, sir. Venom 3: The Last Ride is an exhilarating action-packed buddy film that combines thrill, humor, and unexpected alliances. The movie picks up with Eddie and his symbiotic partner, Venom, finding themselves in the midst of a global conspiracy that threatens to destroy the world. All the while, Venom and Eddie bring their comedic edge to this otherwise intense mission while being reacquainted with previous individuals appeared in the first 2 flicks, as well as making new friends along their journey.
There it is, man. Yo, props to you for giving this dignity. I appreciate that. That was really high level by you, as always. What you always do. You always bring high level to this. All
I
right, so listen,
appreciate
man. I'm
that.
not even. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not even gonna bury the lead on this one, man. I'm gonna lead off with this question for you, which is Sony trying to destroy the comic book movie genre?
That is a fair question.
I
In
think
all
so.
seriousness, um, I did a brief rundown of some of the movies that Sony has put out fairly recent.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Morbius,
Trash.
you have the Venom trilogy,
Caca.
you have Madam Web.
Poop.
You, I'm sorry, folks. Yo, with the exception of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy, as
Good.
well as
Yeah.
the Spider-Verse Miles Morales tales,
Oh, those are excellent. Yeah, I like those. Those are excellent.
other
Yeah.
than those, I would have to say there's been at best mixed results or just out buffoonery with
Yeah.
respect to anything that they've put out Spider-Man related. They have Craven about to come out. I mean,
I don't even know how that's gonna show it. That's gonna turn out.
I I'm not really sure how. I don't. Like I have always said, I don't go into these things with any type of expectations,
That's true. You did
and
say that. That's true.
I do like Aaron Taylor. He's a great actor, and he looks the part in this. And I've even seen like a little brief sequence where he's interacting with his half stepbrother, the Chameleon.
Mhm.
So some of the stuff is faithful to the comic book, but and I even like Craven's father, what's his name, Russell Crowe, being cast in this as well. But I'm I there's such a history of being let down. Madam Web was not a good movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Sony I think Sony is actually trying to destroy the comic book movie genre, man. Like, I appreciate everything you said because everything you said was really balanced. I'm gonna say the answer is yes. That's the answer to my if I answer my own question, the answer because like this and this is the thing, man. We talked about this, right? People care about these characters, right? People care
just
about these
yes.
characters. These characters have like a lot of history behind them. And in many cases, comic books are like the modern mythology, right? They're the
Yes.
stories of like, what would have been called like the Greek gods. These comic book characters, they matter to people. And
Hmm.
when you just be like throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks, and apparently Sony has unlimited funds because these
Oh
movies don't
yeah.
make any money. They lose money tremendously. And yet they
Yes.
can still keep putting these out. I just don't understand how they can keep doing that. And like there's a conversation about this that I think needs to be had about the business part of this because
Mm,
you know like apparently I know there's like some we can talk about this in a little bit, but the stress between like Disney and Sony and the ownership of the Spider-Man characters and how that impacts what they can make, and that's fine. But even if you're in a box where you got to make a movie about Morbius, that doesn't mean you can't make a good movie. These just aren't good movies. And like you leave them and you feel like, dang, I want my money back. Like this joint right here, I almost walked out of it's real. If we weren't doing this, if we weren't like committed to this, I would have left halfway through this joint and I would have probably tried to get my money back. And it's been a long time before I felt that way about a movie, but I just feel like, you got to do better than this, man. People making paying money. It's inflation out here, man. Like movies cost money. Like you got like if you're gonna give somebody's gonna give you their money, they're gonna sit in a theater for 2 hours. You got to come better than this, man. These movies are not good. Sony has not been doing a good job with these movies, and this joint is not good at all.
you know what's sad? I'm going to read you something. This is from Wikipedia, so I want to give props to the sources. Um, so these are the other films that are in development as of June 27th, 2025, and they're unspecified as far as the exact projects.
Mhm.
But what is known is The Sinister Six,
Why?
Night Watch, which, unless you follow comic books, you wouldn't even know who that is.
Why?
Jackpot, another character who's so obscure that even the comic book connoisseur doesn't know who Jackpot is. Um, then you have these directors who just signed on because that seems to be the thing to do, or at least it
Mhm.
was at one point.
Mhm.
Or this may be another caveat. They've signed on to another project that they really want to do, and
Yeah.
then this was put in as like, well, in order to do that, you got to do this. So
Yeah.
these are the directors: Olivia Wilde, Roberto Orci. Then you have El Muerto. Uh, again, another obscure character. Um, then you have the untitled Hypno Hustler film. That's with Donald Glover, so you know he's either going to produce or direct. Um, mind you, Aaron, mind you, Donald Glover played
Yo,
Aaron Davis, who
yo.
is Miles Morales' uncle, who
Nah,
is also
we can't do that. No, no,
the villain
no.
Prowler. And then the other projects that Sony has is Mysterio, which was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
And then there's supposed to be some type of spin-off from the Spider-Man animated universe with Aunt May as a major character.
Okay.
Now,
So
CJ has this saying called Pizza Burger.
no,
Now,
it's
when I
called a
was a kid,
preserver. It's called a preserver.
Berserk,
I'm gonna
yeah,
break that. I want to get at. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but back in the day when I was a kid, I loved pizza burgers. Like that was like one of the things. It'd
That's
come on a
yeah.
nice little bagel,
Yeah.
whatever, and it was basically a pizza on a
Yeah.
bagel.
Yeah. That's why you like this movie because you like pizza burgers. That's
I'm
why.
not saying I like the movie. I'm not saying I do. I'm gonna leave that towards the end because
Oh, okay. Oh, you
I
buried the
think we owe
lead.
it to the fans to really delve into this movie.
All
I
right, then
say
let's
that this
then let's do that. Let's do that. Let's delve into the movie. Let's get
No,
into that.
and that's why I'm saying I say that to say this. This movie has a tremendous amount of themes that I think, actually comment as a whole as to why there was an impetus to do the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, especially with COVID as the backdrop, there is this longing of individuals wanting to have connections, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a literal symbiote who is attaching itself to a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, there is a symbiotic relationship, codependency, interdependency, reliance upon individuals striving for one common goal, two becoming one, and one
Okay.
for all for one. Then you have this sense of loneliness. You can be alone and still be content, but you can be in a group of others and still be lonely. So I think Eddie being, because we have to remember his roots, he's a hard nosed, introspective, hard copy, grinded out news reporter. He's an investigative reporter
Mm-hmm.
by trade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it cost him his relationship with Anne. This
Yeah.
is a lawyer where
Yeah.
he was exploring this thing about the Drake
Mm-hmm.
Corporation. She had some documents, so you got to remember, by nature he is a recluse, but he's also still able to balance that same need that I just talked about as far as wanting to have ties. So he proposes to Anne, they're engaged, and despite it all, she tries to stick it out as best as she can. She can't. Fast forward to Carnage. They're not together. She's in fact getting married to another dude.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Eddie still though has ties to her. Like she still remains connected to him. She even saves his life in this movie. She even bonds with Venom and understands why Eddie did
Yeah.
what he did, how he got wrapped up, how some of these things are happenstance, and he wasn't. And that actually he was a victim of circumstances that he
Right.
didn't plan on any of this happening. So there you have not only sympathy but empathy.
Yep.
I think the other thing that this movie touches upon, where Sony was like, "Yeah, we can delve in," is that Venom is a major tentpole character in Marvel,
Okay.
and there's so many ways that they could explore that, and they touched upon it with the Tobey Maguire thing. So they wanted to reminisce and have some connection previously to the
Mm-hmm.
flagship enterprise of Spider-Man, since they own the rights, and Tobey Maguire knocked it out the park. And they had Venom in there, and they kind of dropped the ball off because Topher Grace's Venom was like, eh.
It didn't look
So they
like
figured,
Venom. Yeah.
right, didn't look like him, and just certain things were out of whack. So they were like, hey, you know what? Let's see what we can do with a more actor's actor. And that's no knock on Topher Grace. He's a good actor, but he is not
Okay.
Tom Hardy. So they figured, let's get Tom Hardy in there. Tom comes in, and Venom 1 was a decent showing. And it showed promise. There was different directions, and Venom on his own, outside of Spider-Man, can carry a franchise because, as we saw, one of the things that they implemented was uh, Carnage, and Woody Harrelson being in there would have been great. But again, they fumbled the ball on the one. Um, the introduction of Shriek, even though true to the comic book, was great. But again, the actual displaying of how it was going to go down, the way that they put it out there,
Okay.
that's just a
So
low.
hold on. So I got to interject for a second because now,
Sure.
first of all, thank you because you've now laid out the history of the Venom movie character, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna ask this question too. You
Hmm.
saw Venom, you saw Venom 2, you saw Venom 3. Is Venom 2 better than Venom 1?
No,
Is Venom 3 better than Venom 2?
no.
Okay. So what are we doing? so what are we doing? Like what like I get I like and I appreciate that because Venom is I agree with you. Venom is a good character. One of my one of my issues is like, dang, I'm put my nerd hat on all the way now. I'm pulling it like down over my eyes, like in New York City now, right? It's like that. One of my big things, and this brings me back to the preserver. And I just for people who don't know what the preserver is, right? Let's say, for example, Pizza Hut says, yo, we're gonna make a pizza burger. We're gonna take pizza dough, we're gonna put a burger inside it, we're gonna use sauce and cheese, we're gonna call it the preserver, right? You might go to Pizza Hut, you might be like, yo, I'll try the preserver, right? You might eat it, you might say, oh man, this is all right. You know what I mean? But you go to Pizza Hut to get pizza, right? And if you want a burger, you're gonna go to McDonald's, right? Pizza Hut should make pizza. Work on making really good pizza because that's the core of your business. The thing with Sony, and all these things. Like you mentioned the Sinister Six, right? Who are they gonna fight against? Each other? Because there's no damn Spider-Man in this whole thing, man. And that's the problem. That's the thing that I keep getting stuck on is like, yo, Venom started off as a adversary of Spider-Man and a really effective adversary, and really quickly became one of the most popular villains of Spider-Man next to like Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Hobgoblin, and like characters like that, right? And then you totally extract Spider-Man out of the whole thing and you give us this Venom thing by itself. And everybody wants to see Venom fight Spider-Man. That's the pizza. Make the pizza. Why do you keep giving me Venom versus random CGI monster character X for 3 movies when we want to see Venom versus Spider-Man? But you can't do it because you wrote Venom as this hero kind of guy when in the comic books, the introduction of Eddie Brock is like really a jerk, lunatic maniac who's trying to kill Peter Parker and Spider-Man and terrorizing his whole family. But now you wrote the joint so backwards that you can't do it. And now you're in this box where you keep producing these movies that are not as good as the one before it.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The execution was poor. The script was ill conceived. Forget written, ill conceived from the word go. When they got the green light that this is something that was a possibility, they should. This is why this is. Oh man, this is getting me flustered. This is where I have a difficulty of trying to bring my sentiments together. One, like I've told you before, I've waited a long time to see these individuals be brought to the live screen,
These characters,
and
yeah.
to have them there, you kind of like you cut them some slack. It's like
Mhm,
playing your kids in basketball. You know, you're not going to go all out, or any sport for that matter, when you know you could dominate them. You
mhm,
know, you're not patronizing them, but you're saying like, look, you know, this is more about entertainment and bonding than it is more than about scrutiny. But at the same token, the part in me that is like, hey, I provide critical analysis in everything that I do.
mhm.
And the reason being is that you want to make sound judgments. Like you mentioned early on, this movie cost me $25. 21 21.99 just for the ticket,
Right.
3 and some
Yo,
change for the so-called convenience fee, and
yo, come
then
on,
the
man.
tax of $1. So
Interest rates ain't been cut enough yet for that. Interest
I'm
rates
sitting
ain't
there,
down. You still
no,
gotta buy eggs.
oh, forget all that other stuff. So this is a entertainment, but they call this disposable income. Okay, whatever. So I go to this movie, and mind you, I went to the 9 o'clock showing, and I'm sitting there, you know, and there's a few of us in there, and the other rooms had been full to capacity. I
Okay.
just happened to watch the 3D version because that was the one with the less amount of people, because
Okay.
I'm still leery of cooties and all that stuff. So sitting there and I'm watching the flick, and I kid you not, I saw people falling asleep, and I was just like, tag, man, it's another they got me again, it's another Joker. Like, it was another joke, and I just felt so depressed because all that giddiness and hope and like, "All right, this is how I'm gonna spend my Friday evening," it just left me. It like the symbiote sticking on them, well, that's how quickly it left me.
Yeah, it jumped.
But at
That joint jumped on you.
but at the same token, it was just like, "Wow, this is gonna be the last one," as, like, Tom Hardy in his franchise trilogy, et cetera. Like, he's not going to be Venom
Right.
anymore as a
Right.
standalone.
Right.
One, it doesn't make sense for him to continue the way that the first 3 movies were written. Two,
Right.
he's pretty much already insinuated that, you know, that's not what he wants to do. Three, as you brilliantly explained, he plays this guy like he's a piece of garbage, like a Bowery boy. I mean, like, I get it. He talks with a mumbled voice because he's trying to not have individuals think he's crazy when Venom's talking to him, and he doesn't want to agitate Venom, so he has to respond. But mind you, it makes him appear crazy anyway, despite his best efforts. So he figures, yo, I'm just going to lean
Mhm.
into it. I don't really want to be here, et cetera, et cetera. But I heard him say in an interview that if he gets to fight Tom Holland Spider-Man, then he's set to go.
He's not coming
I
back then. He's not
And
coming
hence
back.
why
He ain't
I
coming
said
back
he's not
because
coming
that
back.
ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna. Because
And that's the other thing too that you mentioned about this universe that Sony has tried so valiantly to try and pursue. We don't know who the Spider-Man is in this particular universe that Eddie
there is no
Brock is
Spider.
in because they already said that the 616 is separate. Then they showed it with Doctor Strange entering, having the villains enter through the different portals and such. Then they tripled down on it when a piece of the Venom symbiote was left in the 616
Oh, we gotta
MCU
talk about that.
universe.
Yes, we gotta talk about that.
So we don't
Yes.
know which Spider-Man we're talking about. It definitely isn't the Tobey Maguire one, and I didn't see anything that would give me the slightest inkling that it was the Andrew Garfield one. So who are we talking about?
So this is a good point too, because and once again, like I said at the beginning, it's major spoilers for this one. So when a movie when like trailers come out, I love trailers, right? And I
Mhm.
think
Oh yeah,
sometimes, a lot of times, unfortunately, the trailer is better than the movie.
and they don't
So
have the same scenes, mind you, too, and it's
yeah,
intentional.
they get that. That's a rug pull, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So when the first couple trailers came out for this, right? Like, I would go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and I listened and I like, I like to see like what the excitement is around this. And so many people were excited because they were like, "Oh, Null is gonna be in
Mhm.
this. The King
Mhm.
in Black. I can't wait to see it. This is gonna be great." Blah blah blah. Right? And then you
Yeah.
go in the movie, and really what you get to see is the top of Null's head for 35 seconds, and then you get to see his actual face for 20 seconds after sitting through 30 minutes of credits. Right?
Mhm.
And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because these movies are not, they're not like, they're not even, I think, giving the fans the respect of trying to really give the fans what they want.
Oh, no, not at
When
all.
we did Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Even if you didn't like Deadpool as a character, that's fine. I don't know, everybody kind of likes Wolverine, but one of the things that we had to admit about that movie, which I think is one of the reasons why it was so successful, is that
Mhm.
people could tell that the people that made that movie cared about those characters. So whether it
Yes.
was Deadpool or Wolverine or the Human Torch or Elektra or Blade or Gambit, they cared about the characters enough to try to maintain some authenticity to the history of the character and to portray that on film. These Sony pictures and this movie in particular doesn't do that. And I think
No.
it's frustrating to people that have like were kids and read all this stuff and are now adults and actually want to see these characters that they loved in their hearts handled with care and with respect and dignity in terms of how you're telling the story about them now.
It irritates me and irks me to death that these individuals don't look at themselves as stewards. They didn't create the characters, so they don't own the rights. The corporation, I don't care how much money you throw out or whatever have you. As we've seen recently with Mickey Mouse and soon to be Superman, once the copyright it expires, that becomes
Anybody
public
owns it.
domain. Anybody owns it.
Yeah.
And these things don't exist unless there's an audience that actually goes and covets these items. I don't mean just
Yeah.
purchase. I mean like it's a full-blown love affair. So with respect to the Wolverine and Deadpool movie, that was a love letter. With
Mhm.
respect to the Spider-Man Tom Holland appearing in his own series, that was those were passions that the directors had to get out. Like
Yeah.
it was so innate and intense. So I think with respect to Sony, not only do they lack direction, I don't know where Avi Arad is, what he's doing or whatever have you, even though I see the credits promoting him as an executive producer or whatever have you. Um, there's no single voice behind them, a la Kevin Feige, and for better or for worse, James Gunn with DC.
Yeah. That's a
Uh,
good point.
so, so
That's a
the
really good point.
direction is lacking. Then there's no continuity. There isn't some type of intershared universe, even though that's what they're saying they're trying to do. They say
Yeah.
one thing and then they do another. And then I think the last thing is that with Marvel, they had major movie stars that were committed
Mhm.
because they had an initial movie star who was trying to redeem himself, and it was exemplified in the character he was portraying.
Yeah.
Once Robert Downey Jr., once Chris Hemsworth, once um, Chris uh,
Evans.
Evans were committed to those roles, people were able to identify with them. I don't
Yeah.
know who you identify with over at Sony. It could have been Tom Hardy. It could have been Tom Holland if they were borrowing it or whatever have you, and even though that doesn't work, but there was no one person. It could have even been Tobey Maguire revisiting Spider-Man later on, and I think that's the reason why the last Spider-Man movie with Holland worked so well, is because
No
those
doubt.
individuals wanted to see Andrew Garfield again.
Right.
The fans wanted to see Tobey
Right.
Maguire again. That's why they're going to use them in Secret Wars and all the other ensuing Marvel movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, like, that's a great. So the idea of like the one voice leading the direction, that's a great point. So I don't. You're right. I don't see that for Sony, and that's probably something that they need. The other
Mhm.
thing is like Tom Hardy is a really good actor.
Yeah.
We've covered movies with him. We did The Bike Riders several
Mhm.
episodes ago. He's got tremendous range, tremendous depth. He's able to
No question.
bring a physicality to the roles that he's playing while also having all this depth in terms of how he communicates, how he just absorbs and portrays characters. They could have done so much more with this. It looks to me like in this movie, he was like the rec like like how back in the day when they'd be like, you got it. The artist has like to do like ten albums before they can get out of their deal. And then like
Mhm.
they get to the last two, and they're
Sigh
like,
of
all right,
relief comes out out of his.
we're gonna do the compilation album and we're gonna put like the two unreleased tracks on it. That's how I feel like Tom Hardy did this movie. Like he did it like somebody who's like, dog, just get me out of here, please, man.
Mhm.
This movie gives you Tom Hardy, and don't forget they got Chiwetel Ejiofor in here. My apologies if I messed the brother's name up, but this dude is a great actor. Go
Mhm.
see 12 Years a Slave to see the range that this
Ooh.
guy has, and they have him playing the quintessential army guy who's so smart but can't figure out who the good guys and bad guys are. It's a waste. Like that's the thing. Like you got the pieces right, and then you're just not executing them well. And you brought this up. And here's the thing, man. Then you got Marvel over here giving you $1 billion flicks every time they put a Spider-Man out. Just
Ah.
figure out something to do. Sony could have 5 years ago started making Miles Morales movies, and they would have done better than
Mhm.
this. But like you said, they're gonna be like, oh, well, let's do the Sinister Six. Who they're gonna fight against each other? Who are they gonna fight? Madam Web? Who are they gonna fight? Jackpot or Jacqueline? What did you say? Who are they gonna fight? Jack Rabbit? Like, what are they
Jackpot.
doing, man? Like what are they doing? It's like, come on, man. Like, you can do better than this, man.
I don't know if they want to.
Exactly. That's my
I
point.
honestly, I don't know if they want to, because, and I'm being dead serious right now. When you have the unlimited resources, and I don't mean just the money, I mean the access, to the talent, because these people want to, they clamor to do these roles. I
Yeah,
don't have to go out, they sell themselves
yeah.
to actual like scouting of sites and locations. Different states, in just here in the United States, in the continental United States, there's so many tax incentives to produce a film, like with the thing with Georgia, where individuals were protesting and willing to pull away from building another studio and actually
Mhm.
film there because
Yeah.
of the social injustices and the political ramifications that were going on at that time, ranging from anything from the voting practices all the way up into choices that females could make on their own about their body. With that being said, Sony could say, "Yeah, we're going to go film in North Dakota," and North Dakota, they'd be like, "Thank you," and they
Yeah.
would give them whatever they wanted. So I don't
Maybe
necessarily.
that's where Jack Rabbit is gonna be made.
Hey, who knows? I just
That's
say
it.
that to say that they have access to anything and everything that they could want under the sun, but they don't even need it. You and I could literally write a screenplay that would cost 25 million, 10 million,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't need all of the resources that they do, and I guarantee you it would be better than this. It would be
Yeah.
better than anything that they've put out. It'd be better than Madam Web. It would be better than Morbius. It would be
Yeah.
better than the Venom trilogy. Give me Tom Hardy. Give me Jared Leto. Give me Aaron Taylor. Give me any of the
Tom
actors and
Hardy.
actresses. eh,
Yeah.
Dude, Chiwetel, like you said, Chiwetel Okafor in this flick, you give me him, I would say, look, you don't even have to do this movie as Rex Strickland. We could have you as Baron Mordo and just give you a
Baron Mordo.
cameo of
Yep.
you
I'm
of
coming back.
strolling.
I got something for that. Yep. Yep. I got
Yeah,
something
of
for that.
strolling through because you're still on your road to redemption and you're trying to figure out what it is you want to do or whatever have you. It doesn't have to be a road to redemption. It could just be you on a carnage spree of wiping out all magical users and how that would interact with these space aliens because Dormammu is essentially a space cosmic entity. My
Yeah.
point in referencing all this is I just question whether or not there's an intent there to deliberately, as you said, sabotage what what the Marvel universe has because they're still jealous of their inability to make quality movies on their own. It's like the little brother who's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, my big brother has, or excuse me, my older brother has all these accolades, whatever have you. But you know what? I don't want to be better than him. I want to be spiteful and undermine him just to tarnish his legacy on
Yeah.
some hey Arnold, DW Arnold type stuff.
Yeah. I don't, like it's in, I mean, like we've been talking about it, and it's interesting, like the movies, like this movie in particular, one of the things that I was thinking about it is Sony is like trying to, they actually, like, if you're gonna use Venom, Venom kind of works better, I think, if you treat it a little bit more seriously than they treat
Mm-hmm.
Venom as. Like, if you're gonna really lean into the lethal protector thing, then lean into that, right? Lean into that. And I think some of the best scenes, even in this movie, are at the beginning of it is actually all right. Like when he frees the kid, the animals that were being abused in the dog fighting
Mm-hmm.
ring. Like that version of Venom works, but I think they take it and then they try to make it into like this Marvel, everything's got to be a joke kind of thing. And it just robs all the authenticity out of the character. And it's like, it just, the pacing of the movie is off and the tone of it is off. So you never get a sense, or like, going in, okay, this is going to be the end of Venom, allegedly, but you never get a sense that there's any real gravitas to it, because the movie's just constantly being like funny and joking every other 5 minutes set. So you get like a dance routine in the middle of it with Venom, and then a monster attack, and then it's like this serious, like, kind of war thing, but then it's jokes about how Tom Hardy doesn't have shoes. Like, it's just all over the place thematically, and it hurts the movie.
Well, here's just to piggyback on those because those are excellent points. I don't know if him being without shoes is supposed to be a metaphor for him not being grounded and not having a home and being stripped of everything bare and being forced to
Wow,
literally
that's
walk
really
gingerly and
deep.
walk on glass,
Yeah.
or if it's literally just saying he's a hobo now and we're going to make his life miserable and hey, shoes be damned. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
just funny. It's just funny because his feet can get peed on by somebody.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
it's like yeah, like
That's
it's
it. That's
crude
it's just
humor.
for jokes. It's just for
I don't know
jokes.
if
And
and then
why doesn't the Venom suit just give him feet?
again,
Give him
you
shoes.
you don't no,
Why does
no,
it
you
just make
talked about it
shoes
before.
for him? Can it
It's not
do
about
that?
making shoes. No, it's
Can
not
it do
about
that?
making shoes because you mentioned before. He has the ridiculous dance scene with Mrs. Chen, but he knows going in because he says it. Hey, we can't have this dance scene because the thing will track us. And he
Right.
says, "I'm doing it anyway."
Oh
Like,
man.
are you serious?
Right.
That's the maturity level we're supposed to now take it into put it into context because everything deserves its proper place. In the first two movies, a la Thor, there was personal growth and development.
Mhm.
Remember, he had a committed relationship. He fumbled the bag. He recognizes, hey, no, maybe she's better off without me. There's a longingness there. So you have Doctor Strange elements with Christine. At the same token, so you've got two characters that they've touched upon that they're borrowing from with the Marvel universe. At the same token, leading up into this third movie, you're expecting him to not only having a glimpse as to what the 616 universe looks like and pulling on that in the various Easter eggs, but then in turn, you're supposed to see him carry that into this movie when they're talking about him and his buddy now going off on a trip into New York City, which is supposed to represent the possibilities are endless, starting all over. Even
Yeah.
though the odds are stacked against us, we're going to
Yeah.
reinvent ourselves and rise like the phoenix. None of that happens because once again, he's Thor. They build him up, They bring him down. They bring him up. They bring him down just to make him funny. There's only so many times where you look at this guy and you're like, you still haven't learned the lesson. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily him. It's the writers who, again, I'm going back to the stewardship. They don't understand that your job is not to mess up. That's it. The
Yeah.
characters are already written. You can borrow from nearly 75 years of history of
Yeah.
these characters where they have touched upon well creative, influential morals, norms, mores, themes. There's no reason to try and reinvent the wheel with this.
Yeah. You
That
don't have to
hence
do
why
that.
and I just want to touch upon something real quick that you mentioned. This is Chiwetel's brief, and I mean brief, filmography. Okay. She Hate Me,
Mhm.
Four Brothers, Slow Burn, Kinky Boots, Inside Man,
It's
American
good inside
Gangster,
man. I like that. Yeah.
Salt, 12 Years a Slave, uh, Triple Nine, Doctor Strange, The Lion King, Maleficent, Lockdown, Doctor Strange, the In the Multiverse of Madness, and then now Venom: The Last Dance, and he has 3 other movies coming out later on. My
Yeah.
point to saying is
He's a quality
that
actor.
wide array, and he has range. They
Yeah.
I don't even have to go into all of the characters that he could have played in just the Venom series if he was going in another direction to play another character, because actors have been known to play multiple characters.
But
Uh, you,
they have to want the characters to do that though. They have
and
to
that's my
want that.
And that's my point. I don't know if there's a want, a need, a desire, whatever it is, by between Sony, the executives. I mean, Amy Pascal, supposedly she was kicked off of it because she was doing them dirty, but she's still making and I don't mean just barely $1 million. I mean, like, she's making 10, $15 million executive producing these things, and that's not even counting the revenue from the films that she gets a portion of.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an ego thing. I don't even care at this point. They need to get the people in there who are only strictly in it for the money, which I know will never happen, or for the gravitas or the name recognition because they can't act. So somehow, some way, they have to have their name in print. I don't know if it's an ego thing. I don't know if it's because they have movie footage or recordings of somebody doing something illicit.
So
I
wait,
don't
wait.
know.
So the bottom line is it's not good. That's the bottom line. Like that,
I
like
It's not
that's
that it's
where it
not
is.
good.
It's
It's not that
not
it's not
good.
good. It dibbles and dabbles between wanting to be good and not wanting to be good.
Yeah, I get it.
So
It's
I don't know where it
yeah.
is.
It's not. But the point is that this particular thing is just it's just not good.
Again,
Let's
I'm
talk
not
about
going to spoil it for the
let's talk. All
audience,
right.
but we'll get
Well,
to it.
we're gonna get to that now. Let's get into the cake now. All right.
Yes, sir.
So mine is short. Here's what I liked. I liked that the doctor's name was Dr. Payne.
Okay.
That's it. That's
That's
it.
it.
That's the only thing I liked about the whole movie. I thought that
That's
was
what we run
clever.
it.
That's what I thought was clever because she was causing pain to the symbiotes, and so they called her Dr. Payne. That made sense. That's it. What
Hmm.
you got? Tell me about all the things you liked about
Well,
it.
unlike CJ, I have more than one, and
Yeah,
I
no,
try to
yeah,
provide.
yeah. Unlike Siege, no, no, no. Just say your joy. Just say your joy. Don't. There's no juxtaposition. Just say your joy. What you like. What do you like about the
I'm
movie?
trying to provide balance so that it's
just,
not biased.
no.
I
How can I
like
be
Tom.
biased? Whoa,
No,
whoa, whoa,
no,
whoa,
I'm talking
wait,
about
wait.
me. I'm
It
talking
can't be.
about me.
Oh, okay, because it can't.
Because
It
I
cannot be
just
biased because it's our opinion, so it's
No,
biased.
no, no. Because what I meant is, I just laid out this whole thing why the movie had bad things about it, and I don't
Okay.
want the viewers to leave thinking, "Oh, he's doing the same thing he's criticizing, which is doing the okey doke." He just gave
Okay. All
all
right.
this chastisement about,
Okay.
hey, the
Okay.
movie, this, that, and the third.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
in the fair play, a la
Thank you.
Mr.
I
Terrific,
understand. I understand. Okay.
I like
All right.
Tom Hardy as both Eddie and Venom. He's able to
He's
manipulate
good.
his voice and
Mm,
give off a sense of, hey, these are two separate entities. You would
mm,
never guess that it was him, a la Benedict Cumberbatch. He did that in Doctor Strange.
mhm.
I like the introduction of what you call it, King Lord Null, King Null, and Andy Serkis being cast as him. As we
Okay.
know, Andy Serkis carries every trophy you could imagine as far as acting, Golden Globes, et cetera, Academy Awards, Oscars. So Him being behind the green screen and doing the manipulations, I know it's going to be very impressive. And I
Mhm.
know that Null is coming back and that this is just a teaser. And I'm glad to see that they didn't do a Marvel, which is to kill off the main villain in the same movie.
Yep.
Um, I definitely liked Rice Afans as a character, as an actor. It was a little zany as far as him being Martin Moon, but I think that there's a connection between him reprising a role in the Spider-Man universe because, as we know, he is the Lizard, aka Dr. Connors. So there might be some parallels that they'll do there as far as alternate universes. It leaves the door open.
Mhm.
Um,
That was a nice Easter egg.
yeah, I definitely think that this movie, and this can go both ways, is the epitome of "F it, let's do it." They
Mhm.
just throw
That's definitely what
it,
Sony said.
yeah, they're definitely on some like, "Yo, hey, let's see a symbiote get covered on a cockroach. Oh, what happens if we have Venom as a cowboy? So let's throw the Venom symbiote on a horse." So they're
Yep.
just like, "Hey, whatever." Um,
A venom
and
frog, venom fish. Let's just do it. Yeah.
straight ridiculousness.
Mhm.
Um, And I think last but not least, and it's piggybacking off of the Noel character, I find the depiction not only accurate as far as the comic books, but it just reminds me of the Joker having a child with the Crypt Keeper and with Brett Michaels. Like the way that they're able to combine all that, I found that very intriguing.
Okay. All right. That was very balanced. We'll see how this ends up, but that was very balanced. All right. Let me get into let me get into what the things that I didn't like about this movie, right? And the things and
Everything.
just and like the things I didn't like were so heavy that it just overrode the entire rest of the whole thing for me. It's like if you're in a relationship with somebody, right? And they're like they're nice to you, right? They cook, like they clean, everything is good. You guys have a great relationship, but but they're poisoning you. All the other things that they're doing good doesn't matter if they're poisoning you, right? This movie poisons poisoned me as I was watching it. That's why I have nothing good to say about it. All right. The three things that I hate, man. These are heavy. First one, the monsters are too strong. There are these monsters in this thing that are trying to hunt the symbiote down, hunt Venom down to get the codex from it, because Null needs to get the codex in order to get freed. Okay. And and the monsters are too strong. They can't be killed. If they get killed, they just regenerate no matter what happens to them. And it's like very early on, you realize there's no way for Venom or anyone to beat him. And then you
Mm.
start thinking, why doesn't Null just send more of them? And finally, he sends four. He could have sent 40 and it would be a 3 minute long movie. I just hate that. I just feel like they messed themselves up by having having those things in there, doing all the things that they were doing. All right. Second thing, and I brought this up earlier. If
Mhm.
you're going to this movie and you think that you're going to see the King in Black do anything, you are going to be very disappointed. You mentioned Andy Serkis is in this. This is the easiest check he ever got because all they did is they put all them dots on his head and he just like, yo, put your head down and then put your head up. That's it. Here's your money. That was the easy. He didn't have to crawl. He didn't have to like act like he was trying to catch a ring. He didn't have to do nothing but just that. This was this was like easier than doing a cartoon movie where you got to like read lines for hours.
Yeah.
The joint only had maybe 20 lines. This was like props to him. That was a good move for him financially. But if you want to see that in the movie, it's not there. I felt that was a rug pull. I hated that. Now for the scene that made me want to leave the movie theater. So when they did the scene, when they're in the car, when they're in that Winnebago with the Moon family, and they start singing that song, I wanted to get up and walk out. Like that scene is so bad because it makes no. It's just it's like I don't know why it's in the movie. I don't know why they decide that that needed to be there. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's just painful, and it goes on for too long because they sing the whole song. And I hate singing in movies because I hate musicals.
A la the
So
Joker.
a lot of Joker, right? So I hated that. And then that scene is so bad. It's so bad that it washes the badness of that scene, washes over the scene with Venom and Mrs. Chen dancing in a choreographed dance thing, which is one of the worst scenes that they've done in this whole thing. But it's like it's such a bad scene that you forget how bad that one is. That's my hate. What you got?
Well, first, I wanna go back on something, all right? Here are the list of actors that have appeared in all of these movies. Okay, you have Tom Hardy, you have Michelle
Wait, all
Williams.
these things, these are the Venom movies.
Oh no, this is their Sony thing that Sony could work with, that they've tapped
All right.
into,
All
that are
right.
supposed to be in the same universe, not just Venom, but Madam
All right.
Web.
Go
All right.
ahead.
So you got Tom Hardy, you got Michelle Williams, you've got Reed Scott, you have J.K. Simmons, because again, flashbacks from
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
Tom. You also have all of the Spider-Man, so that's Tom Holland, that's Tobey Maguire, that's Andrew Garfield. You
Mhm.
have Peggy Lou as Miss Chen. You have Naomi Harris, who played Shriek in The Carnage.
Mhm.
You have Woody Harrelson. You have let me see. You have Dakota Johnson in the Madam Web. You have Tyrese Gibson in the um, um, what is it? The Morbius movie. You have Jared Leto in the Morbius movie. You have Mike
Mhm.
Epps in Madam Web. You have Celeste O'Connor. You have Sydney Sweeney. You have let me see. Isabel Merced. You have also Jill Hennessy, who is also in Madam Web as well. And you have Jared Harris in what is it? Morbius. And last but not least, Adria Arjona, who we talked about in what you call it? What was the movie we did that she was in? Uh, Blink Twice. So
Mhm.
I say that to say this is going into my hate. The integrity of the cast that they hire, who are not able to utilize their skills and talents. That's a new one that CJ and I didn't discuss. And by that, I'm implementing that because of what CJ just talked about. You have these individuals who are cast to do one thing, and then the rug is pulled over the viewer, and they're thrust into downplaying their talents, a la Tom Hardy acting like a drunken fool and a bumbling idiot in this film.
Mhm.
The introduction of the assortment of symbiotes. Now, there is no title underneath their names or whatever, so you wouldn't even know unless, again, you followed the comic books, which
Yep.
to some people is a detriment in itself because they have to watch other movies in order to understand where this movie is headed or what's going on. So you got Agony, Lasher, Phage, Hybrid, Acorn, and Big Mother. But nobody would know who those people are. That even goes to there was Riot, there was Carnage. They don't even know who these individuals are. So it's a disservice. CJ spoke about this brilliantly. The mischaracterization of Rex Strickland. He is the so-called commander in charge, but you don't know what his title is. You don't know exactly what his role is or who
He's
he's
just a
responding to
guy. Mhm.
when he comes back and he starts dismissing the scientists and tells them, "Hey, they're not even here." And he's about to execute somebody on site on the United States, which I know on the land of the United States, on the which I know is totally illegal and breaks so many laws that he should have gotten a court-martialed and thrown to jail and himself been executed. Um, them not properly using Chiwetel, as we talked about before. Sony, they have this emphasis on utilizing all of these evil villains for whatever reason, but no Spider-Man. They don't even show Black Cat. They don't even show Flash Thompson. And that's another thing. We don't know if that is Flash Thompson with his legs blown off that Chiwetel goes to rescue, that it results in him getting impaled because Flash Thompson later becomes Agent Venom. And we know in the comic book that he fought in um,
I think
Operation Desert.
you're giving it too much credit right now.
I'm just
You're
saying
giving the storyteller too much,
there
way
was a
too much
reason.
credit right now.
But if you're going to use these things and plant these Easter eggs, or you're going to give the viewer hope that, hey, in the future, these are the characters and this was the groundwork,
Mhm.
where's the payoff? If you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. Then you
Well,
have,
I do think, let me just say this one part. I do think that part of that is like giving the company a chance to make more money down the line if this makes money. So I think that's what it is. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not saying it's right. I just that whole thing you mentioned, I'd never thought about that. I think that's probably what they're trying to do. But whatever.
oh,
It
so
is what
like
it
it
is.
leaves it open ended. Hey, we could tap back into this to get a
Yeah,
money
yeah,
grab.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm,
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah,
well, then,
later down the line cash grab.
then I hate that too because because now you're doing me a disservice by trying to tell me that it's rain when you're urinating on me. I see it for what it is. I'm not a fool. Don't don't call me stupid in your head, but then try and uh uh you know tell me in my face that, yeah, I'm brilliant, I'm handsome. Like, yo, don't patronize me. All right. Um, this is rote. This is predictable. This is formulaic. I've already
Uh-huh.
seen the funny, witty version of Eddie and him doing his thing. I mean, excuse me, of Venom, and then Eddie's the straight man, a la Laurel and Hardy. If I wanted to
Yeah.
see that, I'd go watch strictly a comedic comedy or whatever have you, and I just deal with that. I don't want to see that in something that's supposed to be dark, sinister, the anti-hero taking vengeance, doing the things that typical heroes wouldn't do. I don't want to
Mhm.
see that from the so-called villain. I definitely don't want to see it from an alien. If I want to see alien stand up, I go watch Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
With respect to the montage and the moments of Eddie and such, so out of place. And then last but not least, like we touched upon it, if they're going to be future projects, let it be known. Don't put it out there to have hopes up that you're going to do something better when we know that you're not going to do better.
Yeah. I agree with all that. It's gonna be interesting to see what your popcorn score is on this because
Yep.
sounds like you're coming to the dark side with me, but I know in the end you're gonna throw down the lightsaber and say I'm a Jedi and I can't do that.
Dark
But
Revan.
I'm good. All right, let's get to the questions. Go ahead, man. Let me get your questions, man. Let me hear it. Let me
Yes,
hear 'em.
sir. So where is Spider-Man in all this? And who is the Spider-Man of this universe?
Spider-Man's dead. Next question. There's no Spider-Man. There's one. There's no Spider-Man. He's dead.
No
Next.
Spider-Man.
He's
Okay.
dead. Next.
So
Next.
he's either dead or he just never got bitten by the spider.
No, I got hit by a bus. Spider sense wasn't working. Next.
Got you.
that day.
How was Eddie able to survive that blast? He was
Plot
right
armor.
there at ground zero.
Plot armor.
That little
That's
door
it.
was enough to prevent him from getting singed.
Plot armor. Yeah, no,
Okay.
the stuff, the acid would have burned through the door, at least through the window, to burn
Something.
his chest up or something.
He was at
I don't
ground zero.
I don't know. I don't At that point, by the end of the movie, they were just like, "Oh, let's just end this, man.
They didn't even
Let's
say,
just
hey, go run,
let's
run
just
at the
let's
very
just
least.
let's just end this, man." They just wanted it to be over, man.
Obviously, Venom isn't dead because it's shown in numerous movies that pieces of him have dropped off everywhere, et cetera, et cetera. And he
Yeah.
says something to the effect of, this is not bye for now. This is see you later, a la what
Yep.
Martin said to them. So, does this mean that he'll merge with Eddie again? Or will the legless soldier be the Flash Thompson Agent Venom hero?
I don't even care, but I don't even care. I don't. They're not gonna get me in the theater for these ever again. So I don't care about what happens in the end. But to honor your question,
He said,
I think what they'll probably do is they'll probably will try to use this maybe like 5 years from now.
Mhm.
And there's this whole thing. I know there's like this idea, or it might be true, maybe it's not, that every time Sony uses a character, it means that Marvel can't use the character.
That is, no, that
So
is correct.
So maybe that's what it is. They'll do Agent Venom 5 years from now, and then they'll have Tom Hardy as a cameo, and the Venom will jump on him and say, "Hey Eddie, it's great to see you again." And then they'll jump off him, and then that'll be what happens. So there it is.
Well, that's part of what you're saying is true. And then the other part of it is Marvel is not permitted to use without Sony in tandem any so-called Spider-Man character.
Yeah, they got a raw deal on that one, but
Yeah.
that's how it
Well,
is.
blame it on Stan Lee. Rest in power. But they were desperate and they didn't want Michael to be Spider-Man. So there you have it. Why does Sony insist on giving movies that people aren't asking for?
I don't know, man. Like Marvel is like sort of like DC has been in the past with this, where they're just determined to like give you stuff that nobody's really asking for. Like nobody asked for a Blue Beetle movie, but DC was like, "Let's do it."
Mm,
Like nobody's really asking for this. Nobody's asking for Venom versus a monster thing, a monster crab alien thing. This is a really weak villain for the final thing. I don't know. I don't know, man. I just think maybe it's just a rush to try to get the rights or maintain the rights for these
mhm.
characters. Maybe they have to do these movies to maintain the rights,
Then do
So Marvel can't get them, so they could use them and make better movies.
then do it
I
better
don't.
then. If you're gonna do
Well,
if
that
you're gonna
was look. This is about to be called "Do Better." That's what we're about to call this episode because I was waiting for the theme to keep coming in. That's what it really comes down to.
Oh man. And then last but not least, do you think Tom Hardy is ever going to get a chance to fight Tom Holland Spider-Man? or any
In real
Spider-Man
life,
for that matter.
in real life, like, are they gonna get in a fist fight
Woo!
over Zendaya
I
somewhere?
don't
That
think
might
Tom Holland
happen.
wants to.
Okay, Tom Hardy's got a better chance of fighting Tom. Okay, Tom Hardy's got a better chance of fighting Tom Hardy over Zendaya on Rodeo Drive in Hollywood than in Los Angeles than him being Venom fighting Spider-Man in the Spider-Man movie.
No, I don't think he wants those problems because Tom Hardy is a black belt and he raps. So I don't
That's
think he
fine.
wants those. So I don't think he wants those problems.
One that's got a better chance of that other one happening. So that's that. All right, man. So that here's my questions, man. And mine, I'm gonna say, are just these is jokes.
All right, let's get it.
These is jokes. All right. Well, some of it is it's just a thought provoking question I have. All right. This movie has like a 20-minute credits scene before they get to the last. The credits were really super long, which is amazing. It takes this many people to make something like this. But should comic book movies start telling you in advance how many cutscenes there are going to be so that you know whether or not you should sit in the theater?
Yes.
I agree. I
Yes.
agree. Yeah, they should. Yeah. If Blink Twice can have a trigger warning, I can walk into Venom and Venom should say,
Mhm.
"Hey, make sure you stay at the end because there's two credit
Yeah.
scenes."
And it doesn't have to say there's two. It doesn't have to be that
Just let me know if
explicit,
there's one,
but
right?
it
Yeah,
should say, hey, stay till the full ending, whatever, whatever.
got it.
Definitely.
All right, next question. What character got screwed more by the multiverse storyline than Baron Mordo? and and let me
That
let
is
me say
great.
that
That's brilliant.
because like Baron Mordo, remember Doctor Strange 1 was supposed to be on this whole I'm going to stop all the magicians, and you alluded to this earlier, right?
Yeah.
Then they switched up. They went the whole multiverse storyline. So then you had to do him in like Multiverse of Badness, and he was a good guy. Now the same actor shows up in this movie as a completely different character altogether. Did anyone get screwed more?
I can think of Quicksilver right now. They kill him off
So,
in
okay,
one, and then in Agatha and in WandaVision, he's out in the boonies or whatever have you. Um,
that's a good
but
good
he's up
reference.
there. He's up there, man. Like, wow, that's tough. Oh, what's his face for all the Game of Thrones individuals? Kit Carson. Um, he's supposed to be the Black Knight. I don't know
That's right.
where
They
he.
just threw that.
I don't know. I don't know
True.
what's up with
That
him.
storyline just went away, man. That's
And
true. At the end of Eternals, yeah.
I think the penultimate tying into that is uh Blade. I don't know what's up with
Yeah, that went
Mahershala.
away too.
You know what I mean? Like they did him dirty. 2019. It's now basically 2025. 6 years.
I know.
CJ and I could
That's
have put out a movie starring him for 10 million and he could have made the bulk of
Why'd
that.
you say
I would have
6
given him
months?
8 million. I would have given him 8 million. I would have went to any of these colleges out here and been like, "Yo, you have the privilege of just signing on the credits. And this will give you college credit to graduate early. We're making a movie. What's good? Free of
That's
charge."
crazy.
I have friends now in the movie business that I went to college with that I could be like, "Yo, what's good, Andy? You want to get down and direct this?" And they'd be like, "Yes. You don't even have to pay me." We
That's
could have put
crazy.
that out. It would have been just as good as what's the monster joint that they did from what you call it by midnight? Put that out.
Werewolf by
Werewolf by
Night.
midnight. Put
Mhm.
that out. That's what we wanted to see. Done. Done.
Yeah,
He would have made a quick 8 mil. I could have even introduced Wesley at the end of the joint. Boom.
there it is.
So yeah, those are the characters.
Okay, next question. Is this a movie that Tom Hardy had to make to get out of his deal
Yes.
with Sony?
I ain't even gonna let you finish it. Yes. Yes. Next.
All right, this next one's gonna make you think. It's gonna make you think a little bit. All right.
Mhm.
All right, so this movie, that like one of my so there's two kind of questions I love to ask. I love to ask scaling questions like 1 to 10
Yeah.
rating joints. And then I love to ask greater than, less than, or equal to questions, right? This is that kind. Okay.
Okay.
Is this movie, Venom the Last Dance, better, worse, or equal to Iron Man 3?
I'm taking this into serious consideration because I didn't like Iron Man 3. I thought it was
That's why I'm asking
garbage.
you. I know, because I know. That's why
Uh,
I'm asking you.
I was
Better,
um
worse, or equal to Iron Man 3? It's a rapid fire, John. I got like
Less.
5 more to ask you about. Less?
Less.
So it's worse.
It's worse than. Yeah.
Worse than okay. Better, worse, or equal to Superman 3, the joint with Richard Pryor.
Worse.
Worse than that. All right. Better, worse, or
I like
equal
Richard
to
Pryor.
fair. All right. Better, worse, or equal to Batman and Robin, the joint with George Clooney, the only time George Clooney has ever been on camera and not look cool.
Better.
Better than that one. All right. Better, worse, or equal to Thor Love and Thunder.
Equal. It's the same movie.
Man, the disappointment on these movies is terrible, right? All right.
Yeah.
Last but not least, better, worse, or equal to Joker 2.
Better.
Better than Joker 2. All right. So I gotta say this one thing about Joker 2, man. Joker 2 is not good. I admit that.
No.
However, I do think that the people that made Joker 2 really tried to do something that they thought was good and creative and interesting, and they tried to do their best. I'm not sure that anybody tried to do their best on this joint right here. That's it.
No.
I'm just gonna say that. I'm just
No,
gonna say
I would think Chiwetel did because, you could see the passion in his voice when he's delivering the lines, et cetera, et cetera. He could have mailed it in, but he didn't. He could have
really
been there were
where
certain
he
scenes where he was like, "You know what? Nah, we're doing this." And he pulls out the gun. He doesn't pause, tell him the evil plan, and he tries to blast off. And he's like, "Yo, I'm
okay.
convinced that this is the way we're gonna do it." Now, he can't help that the character was written as a bumbling idiot. He can't. That's not his fault to say, "Oh, he had to change your heart in the last minute because he saw Venom try to save the dude." Like
Okay.
that's not on him.
All right. So what you're saying is the acting in Venom is as good, worse, or better than the acting in Joker 2.
I didn't like. I didn't like
As
the
good,
portray
better, or worse. Like just
worse. I think
which
I
way?
think
Which one is now I forgot. Now I forgot my question.
yeah,
Which way? Which
Joker
one was what
the acting in Joker 2 was worse
than
than
the
the
acting in
acting.
this? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair. Well, then I understand what you said. Okay. All right. Popcorn, man. Don't bury. Come on.
I
Give it the
I
4 boxes.
I was I no, no, no. I was gonna give it 3, but no, CJ has convinced me that this is bad, and I was being naive, man. This is a 2. This is a 2.
Yo,
Matter of
I
fact,
gave it 2. I gave it 2 boxes. I gave it 2. If you're gonna see it, that's fine. Yo, go
no,
during matinee. This
do
is a
not see
matinee
this.
movie.
No, do not see
It's a
this.
matinee. Matinee
Wait till
movie.
it comes out for no, wait till it comes out for free if you still have cable. Do not do not go see this. Wait till it comes out for free on
Yeah.
regular TV.
And with that said, Mr. Will, what give us a summary for this, man. The conclusion, or like give us the conclusion, man. End it with dignity so we can go on to the next.
I can't, man, because what I originally wrote was based upon was based upon me actually
Hey,
having hope for this movie.
wait.
I'm
So
dead
that so
serious.
that so that wait. So that this is what I'm thinking about this, right? Yo, imagine. All right, so we're about to take off a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, I know.
Right, we're about to take off like America. We're about to have an election. It might not be in America in 2 weeks.
And what if this is the last movie we
This is
review?
the last movie that we
That's why I
did.
can't read what I originally
No,
wrote.
we should have did The Godfather. We knew that this was gonna be the last joint. Oh my gosh! All right, so
You know, I'll
just
say
just
I'll say I'll say
yeah,
this, all
just
right? The
freestyle.
film The film attempts to balance high octane action sequences with witty dialogue, and it attempts to keep the audience on the edge of their seats while trying to have them laugh out loud. Amidst all the chaos, the trio of Eddie, Venom, and his compatriots, and I'm using them all together, everyone he
Mhm,
meets,
mhm.
they try to dispel this conspiracy theory, which is bigger than anything that they could have imagined, while delivering some heartfelt moments and displays of camaraderie and vulnerability.
Yo, I laughed more doing this show with you than I did watching an actual movie that was supposed to be funny. So thank you for that. So listen, so for the listeners, once again, just to let you know, we are going to be So we're gonna send out 2 videos this week. So we already got the Killers game out. This will be posted very soon afterward. Then we're gonna take some time off. And like I said before, there's a lot of content out there. The Sticky Floor Show is available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, and we are still pushing to get to our 300 subscribers by the end of October. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in about 3 weeks. Take care.